right, hello guys. Yes, I graduated from Walton in 2016. Right now, I am the founder and chairman of Carrodus Asset Management, LLC. But today, I just really want to talk to you guys about redefining how I learned the difference, of what success meant to me. Because I understand that, there's a certain image and certain things that I may exude. But typically, I'd start off when I'm speaking in front of crowds. It's typically, a shareholder meeting or an investor meeting or something like that. So it, typically starts with, all right, ladies and gentlemen, please have a seat, and we'll open up and start talking about last quarter's, earnings. But that's Chad P. Carrodus, President and CEO. Today, I want to talk to you guys as Chad Carrodus, former Walton alumni. And we're going to start that by telling you about when I went to college and decided to get a tattoo. Like any good story starts with a pit bull and ends with a girl. That definitely, don't overanalyze that one. So I went to college at Baylor and in Texas, and I was in a long distance relationship with my high school sweetheart, and then things obviously, we were broken up one day and back together another day, and it was just kind of one of those patterns. And in that time, my roommate decided it would be a good idea for us to adopt a pit bull. I mean, college freshmen adopt, brilliant, let's do it. So we got a pit bull, and then we realized, oh my God, we're going on spring break to Cancun tomorrow. So we get on Facebook and we're looking, who can, we're in the college Facebook groups, who can, babysit and dog sit and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And eventually we got someone to come back, and she, had said, I'll do it. So I sent her the address and she came. Ended up, she dog sitted, whatever, and then we're Snapchatting the whole time, and obviously. And then, she came back, and I said, okay, well, it's time for me to pay you, can you come pick up a check? And as you guys know, I could have Venmo'd her, like, what 19, 20-year-old writes checks? That's not a thing. But I said, yeah, come pick up a check. And then I said, if you also want to have dinner, that'd be great, blah, blah, blah. So what started as dinner ended up turning into a 4.5-day trip to Oklahoma, where I got a tattoo. And Mom was not happy to see that when I came home, needless to say. So, like I said, I understand that, I exude a certain image, and I'm sure all of you have already formed a perception about me, maybe. It's obnoxious, it's bold, it's outspoken, yeah. But behind all of this, and behind everyone else, I think that there's a story. And that's really what I want to talk to you today about, is because that I think we've all kind of seen, that pyramid of, or I guess it's like the iceberg, where it's success at the top, and then all the other things that, go under it. Hold on one second, I'm sorry. Everyone really likes to talk about the success, but there's so much more that's not talked about. And, this definitely might have been a pinnacle in my career when Waka Flocka refers to you as Big Chad. Definitely, an exciting thing. But there's so much behind that, and the reason why I am the way that I am, it stems from a certain manner. And I'm sure you're thinking, okay, elephant in the room, you're a young, white, male that grew up in an affluent community. How many struggles and troubles could you have had? And you're right. Honestly, for the first, good part of my life, it was. Look at that. There was no struggle there. And then in 2008, as I'm sure many of you can attest to, my dad he did real well in the steel industry, and then things started to, I guess, hit the fan, so to say. And I think that this was a pretty good description of the picture, just kind of the current situation. Like, we were trying to be that perfect East Cobb family, but it was like, whoa, something's going on here. So, it was definitely, the little things started getting taken away, more of the material things, the eating out, okay, big deal. The certain things like not as many vacations, okay, big deal. People have it worse. And then that continued as, especially growing up as, Walton students know, in kind of having to exude that facade of keeping up with the Joneses, and it definitely got tough. And I don't want to go into too much detail of how tough it got, but needless to say, financially, our family's world got flipped upside down and then kicked down the curb. And it really wasn't missing the material things for me, but it was kind of seeing just the, I guess, difference in morale in our overall family dynamic between, my dad when everything was taken care of and comfortable, as opposed to when, there weren't the resources there. So then, like I said, it was the whole keeping up with the Joneses. So here was my Walton freshman spring break in Seaside. As obnoxious as those shorts are, I mean, God, those are bad. Those are Goodwill now. But, so I was so sick of having to be around, all of this, I guess, this pressure to fit in and not having the means and resources to just go and swipe dad's Amex, as vain and, shallow as that sounds. It's, the unfortunate truth. So I said, if I can't do that, then I need to create my own reality. So I started really just getting into business and had that kind of business mind of, I never want to work for anyone else. I always want to be able to create what's coming next for me. And, really just put myself in that mentality. And, I actually, when I was putting this together, I thought it'd be better instead of just writing and just kind of speak naturally. And I pulled all of my tweets from, when I was in high school. So that's when I was a freshman. And, I would do things like I would buy and sell iPhones and, just babysit. Cash is king. The IRS didn't know about that one. And, just anything that could make $1, I would absolutely always do. And it got to the point that I realized, okay, I want to make a difference. I want, servant leadership. So I thought, what better way to do that than run for class president? So that is what I did. And, sorry, I've been fighting a cough. First of all, if Donald Trump thinks he was the first one to use Twitter as a political platform, step aside, Donald, because check the dates on this. And it really did mean, a lot to me that this was something that I want to do, because anything that I do, that's always been my prerogative. I'm no smarter than the next, guy or girl. I'm no, really no different in certain regards. But I've always kind of been hungry and determined to drive, I get that level of tunnel vision. So it meant a lot, I really got in the moment. And unfortunately, due to fake news, the election did not come out as planned, and I actually totally forgot about this until I pulled up my tweets, and I, personally thought it was hilarious, especially going with all the, I guess, political climate going on right now, kind of seeing the parallel between that, because this is before that. And I think someone had made up a story that I had bought someone a cookie for a vote, or it's like, if you're gonna make up a story, make up a good one, But, at the end of the day, it didn't work out. So that was my first real, I failed hard. Like, I put everything into something that I wanted, and I just fell flat on my face. So from there, I still realized, I kind of had this realization that everything does happen for a reason. And I've always had that passion for servant leadership aside with business. It's two things that I think coincide very, very closely, and they complement one another, because this is, really what brings the fulfillment. So I started an organization called Atlanta Children's Charities, which is here at Walton still. I started it here, and it grew very, very rapidly, and we basically volunteered with different organizations such as the Ronald McDonald House, St. Joseph's Mercy Care, and just various organizations around Atlanta, that our goal was to kind of plant the philanthropic seeds in these, young people growing up in, a sheltered, honestly, community like East Cobb, and putting them in an environment where we were providing, through the means of donations and, volunteer time, providing the resources to give kids in other, areas that are very, very close, to ours, the resources and the tools to build, the metaphorical houses that, we built as Walton students. And, we may have used tools that they didn't have. So I figured, well, if we could provide them the tools, then they could build the houses. And that really where, that's where that stemmed from. And that was absolutely, to this day, the most fulfilling thing, because I had realized, wow, yes, the exterior success is true, it's exciting to a degree. It's fun for like 10 minutes. It gets old. This, I started to realize, after hearing people's personal stories and personal anecdotes, that what I was taking for granted, people were praying for. And that, is just a statement that once I had that realization, I wrote it in a journal, and it just kind of, every time I hear it, the hairs on the back of my neck just kind of raise, because it's very, if you put that into perspective, no matter what level you're on in anything, it's something that I think is very important to think about. But on the same token, I kind of knew that I needed to be able to pay for, college and things like that, because unfortunately there was no trust fund to fall back on, although if there's any donors out there that would like to start one. But my whole mentality was, as I said, create your own reality, and on a pursuit of success. And what I thought success was because, I had the family, the infrastructure, the friends, the community. The only thing that was missing, I guess, from that element of success was money. And that's, honestly, that's what I decided to chase. And I chased it, and I chased it hard. So when I was 16, I got the coolest job a 16, 17-year-old could have, and I was selling private jets and private jet charters to different celebrities and CEOs and things like that. So I would, one night, I think I was a junior in high school, and we had a work party that night before, and we flew in on a helicopter, landed on the roof of a hotel for a party, and then flew out for the party, and then I went to school the next day in first period. It was kind of that dynamic was definitely strange, but it was something that I created these opportunities myself. I kind of unfortunately didn't have a last name to piggyback off of, because that would have made it a lot easier. And while I did have maybe some benefits that others may not have, there's always people that have overcome obstacles, and I've always thought of my, youth as a platform, not so much a boundary. So I continued to do that, and I realized that even though, like I said, I had the coolest job a 16, 17-year-old could have, it's still, the world just wasn't enough for me, and that's unfortunately the way that I am. So I decided to go out and start a software company, and it's honestly just from failure, and that's just how I learned. And we can sit here and talk about the successes all day, but the failures are what led up to this, and it's being told no so many times to where you just, almost it becomes a game. Like, okay, let me just get a yes, just for, kicks and gigs. So I did that, and as I said, finally I had kind of got that balance of, work life, and my little high school sweetheart, who I asked to prom on a helicopter just because I'm super obnoxious and over the top, and she said, please do not do anything over the top or embarrassing. So I said, haha. Okay. And, we had these cool opportunities. We were able to travel all over the world because I had this, personal financial independence and someone to share it with at a young age. And we'd go to different events, and, I was connected to different communities, and that's, Evander Holyfield, who honestly I had no idea who he was until he acted like he didn't, or I was supposed to know who he was, and I was like, oh, you don't know who I am? Just kidding. But, we have those opportunities, and honestly that I think that this was one of the best balances that I've had in my life, having that personal and financial dynamic. And I was like, wow, I found success. And then I went to college, and left home, left the nest, and kind of definitely got out of my comfort zone, and had leveraged those, I guess, that financial cushion that I had built for myself, and went over the top with it, needless to say. So this was a taxidermy leopard that we had in our dorm that died of natural causes. So that is a disclaimer. No animal was, it was a natural cause. And I just thought it'd be, my roommate's family had owned an exotic, animal ranch, and it got bit by a snake. So I thought, what if we just put it on the wall? So I would just do always over the top and just extravagance. Just always just been my thing, and standing out regardless of, the reception of how that, may seem. And I, kind of was away from home, away from, the girlfriend and, all those things, and started to really definitely kind of explore the opportunities that money would bring and realize how temporary those things were. And I, really started to have those realizations. So while it was fun to go out and, buy, tables, and everyone became your friend, when you buy a VIP section, everyone's your friend. But then when those things aren't there, it becomes hard to determine. So eventually, I kind of had this coming to God moment, and had realized that it wasn't about, I was misinterpreting success in so many different ways. At first, I thought it was material, and then I thought, it was all about fulfillment, and then I kind of realized it was nice to have that mix between the two, and then after I lost the mix, then it was, back to material, and when I had the material, it just, things had never been worse. So it was just, I was so confused, and it was hard to figure out at such a young age and not having that foundation and that guidance to really understand that. So that's kind of what my, the reason why I got that tattoo, and when I got that, it's still here, haven't gotten it removed yet, but I'd rather just do it, make the mistake, learn from the mistake, because out of all the mistakes I've had, I think I've had 10 times the opportunity, and I've had a lot more mistakes than I'd be willing to admit. So I think it's just all about creating your own reality. If that's, success, and I think at the end of the day, everyone wants success, but what it comes down to is what success means to you. Not everyone wants to be loud, outspoken, obnoxious, this, and that's fine. And it's really about chasing what you really want and understanding what you want. So I think I've kind of redefined success personally is a balance, and that's between happiness, trials, frustration, failure, and courage. So that's how I learned kind of my mission and my purpose of success, by going from, one end to the other and then ever in between. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.